I like that you snuggle up just like we do. Like,
Yeah. Well, it's the.
You only can.
sorry.
I'm thinking about the camera. I'm like, I hope I'm in it. I should be in it, right?
Welcome to the Dirty Business Podcast. We have Mo Burton. I don't think I've ever used your last name.
I don't think so. I feel so honored. So important.
And Mike Perrine. Is that how you pronounce it?
That is how you pronounce it. And
Okay.
thanks for getting it right, because throughout my entire life of school and all these things, there's a lot of versions of my last name. Yeah.
And we also have Janelle Stringer.
Yep.
Party's here.
So, Mike, you are a
I'm a
colon hydrotherapist.
yes. Yeah.
And
She's really good. You
Studied.
researched, didn't you?
oh,
Didn't you? That's what these note cards are for.
and then everyone knows you as Everyday Detox.
Yeah, because I do a lot of online work too in the holistic health space.
Yeah.
So podcasting and doing work on Instagram and TikTok, and then of course work at the studio. Yeah.
So, how long have you owned your own business? Where did
Well-
it start? Can you give us a nutshell? You have a really fun story.
Let's start at
This
the
is-
date of conception.
This is not
You have 10 seconds. Go.
this is not a profession where there was a booth at the job fair. I'll tell you that, right? So, well, I was started working as a therapist, which was great because back in the day, my son just started going to private school. I was working as a natural food chef, making no money, and I think I was getting $35 an appointment at the time, and that was like amazing to me. I was like, oh my God, I can make $35 in an hour and a half. So I was doing that, and we used to work then illegally out of apartment buildings in New York. So we would convert, we'd go to a luxury high-rise building, we'd tip the doorman very heavily.
Yeah.
Everybody would keep their mouths shut, and we would convert apartments into wellness studios, and we'd build colonic units inside of their inside of the bathrooms.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I would never want to be, on the opposite end of the Department of Health or something back then.
Yeah.
But then as I got older and I matured into it, I realized that I was going to have to own my own practice in order to make money doing this. And I started, I think, my first professional studio that wasn't an illegal business out of a high-rise building in New York was 2005, 2006.
Amazing.
Yeah, did it all on credit cards. I used the mentality of ready, fire, aim, you know, and probably was a very sloppy way to do it, but it got me started. And that's how I did
we
it.
roll too. Like,
Yeah.
we'll just be really honest. That's how we roll. We just do things 100% and then figure out everything that we fucked up.
We have
After.
a friend that has a police officer for a husband, and so she's trying to start a business, a sourdough business, okay?
Yeah,
And
amazing.
she's like, well, I got to go by all the rules, and how do I do an LLC? And I'm like, I don't know. You just do it, and then when they tell you did it wrong, just have them slap their hand, and then
fix it.
fix it.
Yeah.
Just start selling.
But
What are you
she's
waiting for?
By the book, because, her husband's a police officer. I'm like, I don't know. We don't do things that way.
We
You
don't
know
follow
what
the
you know
rules.
until you know it.
I'm amazed at how many people don't do things by the book. I've talked to people with huge businesses, millions of dollars a year, huge warehouses. And I talk to them about like, well, what entity do you use? An LLC? And they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, really?
Taxes what?
I'm like, you make like 50 times more money than I do. You have a full line of employees and stuff, and you don't have a corporate structure. And, but a lot of us aren't good at this stuff, especially practitioners and artists and creative people. But yet we're expected to be. It's a really challenging thing, I find.
Can you tell us exactly what it is that you do in these procedures? Because I know what they are because I've had them before and I love them.
Me too.
Yeah. But I don't think normal people know what that is.
Also, tell me what I'm supposed to tell people so they're not scared. Because for whatever reason, that's a thing. People are
Terrified
by this.
I think it's
And I'm
because
like,
they're
it's not
terrified
that
of being
bad.
probed.
Well, here's how it starts. We work with people with nutritional detox work,
Okay.
meaning we work with what are people eating,
Yeah.
how are they causing their own problems physically. It could be like,
Look at my coffee.
could be. Whenever I make Instagram content about coffee and the challenges I have with it, my wife gives me a hard time. She's like, stop hating on coffee.
Stop being so mean to us.
An interesting fun fact, I make coffee every morning because I make it for my wife. And I got the weirdest request once. Vogue magazine messaged me and they're like, hey, we want to do, they wanted to do something with me, Vogue magazine. So I was like,
Amazing. So I had Vogue reach out.
I was
Vogue
surprised.
called me.
I was surprised by it, and I was like, "Oh, they must want to talk about the wellness aspect, or like, a lot of sometimes wedding parties come in. I was like, maybe they want to do a story like that." And they were like, so I was like, "Yeah, this is great. I'm all about it. What could we do?" And they were like, "We'd love your favorite latte recipe." And I was like,
Oh, Vogue.
"What? Like what?" I was like, "I don't drink coffee." Like I didn't know. I was like, "I don't know what to do here because obviously I want to do something with Vogue,
Yeah.
but I don't have a latte recipe. But luckily, I had met Holly at that point,
There
and
you
I
go.
developed the vanilla walnut milk and the whole thing, and I made lattes for her. So I was like,
Amazing.
here's my favorite latte recipe. And I
Yeah.
got this nice little write-up in Vogue magazine.
What?
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Thanks, Holly.
Yeah. She saved the day with that
Oh
one.
my goodness. Anywho, back
So
to
we
what
work with
do.
people with nutritional detox,
Yeah.
and ideally our ideal clients are having a realization later in life that all the processed food and the junk and the binge drinking and all the processes we get through as we get older,
Yeah.
they finally caught up to them.
Yeah.
Hopefully not in a way that's too bad, or they just sort of had a moment of truth where they're like, I want to feel better, I'm getting older, and a hangover is like a week-long commitment now that I'm over whatever age they are.
Yeah.
And so we start working with people with nutritional detox with the awareness that there's retained waste in the system, biological and chemical waste. And as we clean up our diets, we might not feel well right away. And we want to open up all of our pathways to get that stuff out of us quickly. And that's saunas, that's cryotherapy, and that's doing colon hydrotherapy, which is flushing out the large intestine with water, which is like the final frontier. I'm watching people on social media all the time, like jump in ice baths and do breath work and like go on these radical diets. And I'm like, wow, people are really getting adventurous these days. But colonics is like the final frontier of that. A certain type of person gets it. And once you get it, it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
True.
And when I first got into this, it was people getting into radical raw food diets. 45-year-old person grew up in a city or New Jersey or something like that, and they have all this pollution in them, and they just ate poorly their whole life. They did drugs in college, they did the whole thing, and then they get into a raw food diet, and all of a sudden they're feeling awful, stuff's bursting out of their skin, they're dropping weight rapidly, and they don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And it's a detox process. So then they would come in.
Understand.
They don't understand it. They think it's the result of the diet.
Right.
Yeah, they think
They're like gonna feel better.
Eating like fermented foods or whatnot, and then you feel crappy.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you just have to start eating it slower and not all at once. But yeah, that feeling that you get is you detoxing and getting it all.
It's gonna get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, but I think people are right. They think that, oh, well, I shouldn't eat sauerkraut or I shouldn't,
right.
because it makes my stomach hurt.
So we would have someone like feeling like death on a juice fast, and they're like 10 days into it, and they're like, I think I got to stop this thing. And then they come in for a colonic, and they watch 15 feet of waste come out of the body, and then they bounce up off the table. They're like, I'm going to go for another 30 days. I feel great. I'm going to, and they're like ready to go. And it was like, that's what was making you feel like death. It wasn't the juice. The juice was actually giving you life and loosening up the waste.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into this work. And we do a lot of disaster management treatments as well, which is okay to a degree.
Yeah.
Disaster management meaning you went to the wedding and you ate the food and drank the things you normally don't drink. Now you feel gross. Let's get you cleaned up. As long as it's not a pattern, that's good too. We do those too. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a key piece of what you do is that it's a routine, a lifestyle change. Like I'm not great at getting them all the time, but when I do,
more routine.
yeah. What do you think? Like monthly? Like we should be in there doing this stuff
often.
Here's the thing with colonics, right? Like there's clients, not so much here, but at the New York studio where like they'll come in twice a week for life. There's people I see more than I see like my parents, like I see my family. And it's because they have disposable income. They like flat bellies and clear skin. So there's that. There's also people that come in frequently because they're trying to change the direction of the direction their body went in regards to disease. And they're using this as one of the modalities.
Yeah.
And then everybody else, I'm like, you need to feel into it. I'm like, if you're not feeling great and you are doing all the right things, meaning you're not feeling great because you did something to make yourself not feel great, but like you're getting enough sleep, you're eating well, something's off, it usually means that there's some type of loosened waste in your system that's trying to come out. So then we get the let out. Yeah. Then we lift the vitality. And I tell people to feel into it. I'm like, don't fix what's not broken. So if everything's feeling great, like just keep going.
Yeah.
It's
such a crazy feeling afterwards too. Like you feel completely empty. And then you're like, I'm never going to eat again. This is a great feeling.
Or for me, it was afterwards, my communication to my system was so much better. So then now after that, it's not as great now. And probably for 6 months, I've been like, I really need to go see Mike.
Yeah.
But when something would hit my system, I would be like, no, right away. Like, oh, I'm not supposed to be eating that. Like chicken, I can't eat now. Eggs.
I think I'm allergic to eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anytime after seeing you, anytime that would hit my system, and now the communication isn't as good because I either not as sensitive or my communication's not as good. Because when it does get in my system, I don't notice it as much. So, but But I liked that because like the moment it hit my system, I'm like, oh, you're not supposed to eat that.
Yeah. We adapt to whatever our toxic load is. That's why there's people walking around polluting themselves right now, feeling fine, even though biochemically they might not be doing well, and they might be headed to like a disease state in 10 years or something, but they feel fine.
Yeah.
When I was young and I used to smoke cigarettes, when I first started, I used to like cough up all sorts of like bloody stuff and mucus and green and yell and all this. My body was, I'd get massive headaches. My body was like, no, no, no. And then it stopped. And I was so happy because I was like, oh, now I could smoke and not get all sick and feel, because I was committed to smoking because it was whatever, 1985 or whatever.
Yeah.
And we were allowed to smoke in my high school, So but the body stops. It eventually just gives up.
Stops resisting.
And it starts absorbing the toxicity and it stops trying to purge it. Yeah. I mean, think about what people are doing just across the way in Medford right now, right? Like you couldn't do that with a child or an infant because their systems haven't built up that level of toxicity. But once we build up a certain level of toxicity, we can't really listen to our bodies anymore because we can't trust it. Yeah.
Yeah. It like puts a filter on it. Like everything's fine. Keep doing what you're doing. But then when you clear that filter out, you get all these warning signs again. Mm-hmm. You can feel the signals of don't do that. Don't eat the eggs.
Can I get your opinion on 3 trending things right now?
Let's do it.
Yes.
Just regular enemas at home.
Mm-hmm.
Your opinion on that? Coffee enemas and parasite cleanses.
Yeah.
Regular enemas at home are fine.
Yeah.
If someone wants to do them. I mean, if stuff's not moving for you,
a little bit of. Do you do your own colonics? Okay. Or do you have someone help you? Is that difficult to do your own?
Or
do you just do them at home, like a regular enema at home?
No, I have a treatment table, so I have a whole thing.
Set up. I'm going to the studio.
Yeah, I do that, and my diet and lifestyle is so tight. I don't do tons of treatments anymore.
Yeah.
Not like I did in the beginning in the early days. I mean, I came from Staten Island pizza, 40 ounces of Old English, smoking 1 or 2 packs of Marlboro a day.
Sounds like a dream.
It was the 90s. The 90s were a dream. So when I first got into everything, like I dropped about 60 pounds in 3 to 4 months. That's fevers, body aches, pimples. As I got into like cleaner eating and consistently doing the work and doing the saunas and all this stuff, like I needed to keep my system more open and free. But now that I've been doing this 31 years, like I'm in a really good place.
Yeah, you don't need to do these all the time.
Yeah, so I don't need to do as many of them. But yeah, if someone, an enema is just some warm water. So it's like, what was that? That gave you a shiver.
Oh. We have a freaking bidet because my husband had to have one. That guy.
Bidet in your house?
Okay, yeah, it's not what it sounds like. It's like the little attachment that you put on your toilet for my husband,
That's
for his
great.
precious little booty.
I love it.
This guy got it from Costco, okay?
Oh gosh.
And it's not the legit bidet. It's literally an attachment, okay?
Okay.
It's cold water, ice cold water.
It's terrible.
He's like, just try it. I'm like, that doesn't sound like something I want right now. And he's like, no, it cleans you up so good. Like, it's just amazing. I'm like, ice cold water shooting at my ass. I don't think so. So
this is good to know about Andrew. I'm glad I know this.
So I tried it one day.
So much about Andrew on this podcast.
I know. I'm like, I hate that. So I don't know. Warm water might be a better experience for me. Maybe I should try that next.
Yeah, I mean, and look, they're really only necessary if something's not moving.
Right?
No, I mean, yeah, an enema is just basically like your fill, release. And it could be really good if someone's all jammed up. Someone's jammed up, get stuff to flow and get it to move. Doing a colonic, the type that we do, it exercises the colon. We get to unlock much deeper areas. And eventually, depending on the person and what their history is, the floodgates open and like everything shifts. People get up off that table and they're like, whoa, I had no idea I was walking around with all that. And the way it was making me feel.
Because it affects your mood too. Like your gut issues affect your mood, your like all the things, which is crazy for business owners.
Yeah.
Because if I'm not feeling great and I want to burn shit down when I'm owning a business, that's not great.
No.
I hate everybody. I hate all my clients. I should probably just get a colonic.
So many clients would come in, especially in New York, so twisted, just like raging and upset.
Yeah.
And if we were running behind schedule, and then they would leave just light as a feather, the happiest person, giving out hugs, and it was just like, you see how it shows. Yep.
Yeah. Crazy. Maybe you should try that.
What's it? Why do people do coffee enemas?
Because it stimulates a purge from the liver. The caffeine does. Yeah.
So it's like liver detox.
Yeah, and those can be good. Those are good to do after a colonic, actually.
Oh,
So,
okay.
you could do them just with a full intestine, but it's better to clear the intestine. And this way you can hang on to the coffee a little bit longer. And, to be honest, I don't know if it's the bowel cleansing that is getting the work to be done with the coffee enema or if it's the coffee itself. How essential is it? I don't know. People swear by them.
Yeah.
But I've also seen the same exact conditions reverse in people that do colonics.
Interesting.
So I'm like, I don't know. Is it bowel cleansing? Is it because the coffee's so special that it's triggering the liver? I don't know.
What kind of coffee are we supposed to use?
A lot of people use a green coffee, organic coffee.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's specialty enema coffees.
Thanks.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Is it on Amazon?
Does it give you energy?
I think it is on Amazon, actually. So it goes straight. I mean,
Like straight to your head.
yeah, if you do a coffee enema, you're going to get lit up.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it's just like when college kids, like they do.
He knows new things.
You're going to see me spiraling on Instagram and you're like, she did it.
So whatever we're eating, whatever's coming in this way, as it moves through the intestines, whatever gets picked up by the blood goes to the liver figures it out and puts it where it needs to go, into the body. The last few inches of our backside of the colon, for some reason, don't know why it's designed like this, goes right into the bloodstream. So that's why people put drugs there. That's why in medicine they use medical suppositories. And yeah, so
that was my next question. Is it dangerous to do these coffee enemas?
I don't think so. No, I think I've never heard of anyone having a problem from a coffee enema. Yeah, I wouldn't do a latte, but I would.
No dairy.
Okay, that's fair. All right. That's crazy.
And then, so I'm going to admit, I'm going to try to do a parasite cleanse.
Mm-hmm.
First one ever. It's going to be a full moon soon, so suppose we have to do it for a full moon.
Yeah.
I did not get tested to see if I have parasites. However, I did a muscle testing. Who said I have parasites, but never got clinically tested. And I saw your thing come out that you were talking about parasites. I was like,
I saw that too.
I'm gonna let him call me out right now.
Yeah.
Well, the holistic health community, for some reason, like on Instagram, because everything moves in trends. So the reason even diets that are extremely valuable, the reason they're popular is most likely because somebody is saying that they're doing it and other
Somebody
people
with a
do.
following somewhere.
Yeah. And in the holistic health world, everybody wants parasites because everybody wants a project to work on themselves.
Oh.
We all think that this is some big mysterious place inside of us and all these things hide there and all. And most of it is just imagination. And it's unfortunately, I mean, look, don't get me wrong. People have parasites.
Yeah.
People, even in the United States, there's a lot of people that have parasites because they're eating factory farmed meat and they have pets and they have all these things. So it exists. But, when the parasite cleanse has become really popular, it's because most people are falling prey to Instagram fear tactics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My thing was most people do a parasite cleanse at least once a year, right? In different countries.
Some of them, yeah, especially if there's rural areas. Yeah.
And it's just not a thing here in the US, correct?
Outside of the holistic health community where everybody's convinced they have parasites. Yeah. Here's the thing with the parasite cleanse though. A lot of those herbs are poisonous. They're mild poisons.
Yeah.
And they create a mucus response by the intestine. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people will see squiggles and things come out in the toilet and they go, oh, look at the worms. But it's just mucus because they're taking these irritating herbs. And then because they're taking these irritating herbs that are not food, they get all gassy and bubbly and weird in the gut. And they might get a little diarrhea or something. And then they go, that's die off. That's what it is.
The parasites are finally letting go of my intestines.
It's them dying. Yeah. But what's actually happening is they are having intestinal disruption from taking mild irritants and poisons, and they're having
poisoning themselves, but it's the parasites.
Yeah, and some of these herbs are anti-parasitic, and they could work. Yeah. But I have never, and I've done this work now for we're going on 24 years. I've never seen anyone eliminate a parasite with a parasite cleanse.
Crazy.
The only way I've ever seen people actually eliminate parasites is getting tested, knowing which one, and taking the prescribed medication for it. And
for that parasite.
I remember working on this one girl for over a year, and I was a new therapist, so I was giving her a discounted colonics because she needed a lot because she was, the people I was working with were like, she's cleansing really hard. She needs all these treatments. We were doing twice a week, once a week, and I was working on her all this time, and everything was all disrupted in her gut, all bubbly, whatever. And the people I was working with, I was new. I didn't know what I was doing really. I knew what I was doing like on the treatment table, but I didn't like the whole macro of how this nutritional detox world worked. I just didn't have the experience yet. So they were just like, yep, she's cleansing. She's got to keep going. She's got to do this. Maybe you should take this clay. Maybe, yeah, it's just like this thing after thing after thing. And then one time she came in and she goes, hey, I just got tested. Turns out I have pinworms.
Oh.
And she went on an antibiotic. And 7 days later, she came in for a colonic, and it was the flattest, calmest, best treatment she's ever had. Her belly was flat. Everything was cleared. And look, I don't like antibiotics. I don't like what they do.
Right.
Sometimes you need them.
But they worked like that.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. So for a year, we're managing the symptoms of this whole mess. Nobody knows. She didn't even know what she had because she didn't get tested for it.
Yeah.
And everyone else is just telling you, you're just cleansing. You got to go harder. You got to do this. And we're doing
random shit. Do this now.
And we're doing the work. And it's not like the work was bad for her. I mean, getting repetitive treatments is good. I mean, her skin was clear. Her body was feeling good. Her diet had changed. Everything was going well. But she still had the pinworms. And as soon as she took the antibiotic, they were done. And I was like, wow, that was the quickest fix I've seen. If she would have done that 8 months ago, we would be spending all this money and time. I mean, look, I made a living from it.
You're like, I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, but it would have been a big
crazy.
savings of time and money for her and discomfort. So so that's how I feel about parasites. I'm like, go get tested. And if you want to do an herbal protocol, do it. And the good thing is if someone did have worms, ivermectin is one of the safest, most cleanest medications to take anyway. So it's not even like someone always has to go on an antibiotic. She had to for that. I don't know. She actually may not have had to for that, but that's what they prescribed. That's what she did.
Yeah.
And it worked really, really smooth. But I'm sorry, what did you ask?
How do you get tested?
You can even do it online, but you can ask your doctor or naturopath to do it. A lot of doctors won't do it though. You know,
that's weird.
You have to do like,
that's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be like One Peak or Complete Care, some like health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll do it for you.
People do it online. You just mail in your thing and you're good.
You're mailing your poop.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Imagine having that job, the poop receiver.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look at this great
It's
sample.
really gross to like have to do. It's like 3 or 4 days of poop.
What?
Yeah.
I don't care that much about a parasite. Nope, not me.
Yeah, mine found that I don't detox. Like my channels open up, but my body's won't
Releasing?
detox. Yeah.
Oh.
So I had to start taking calcium D-glucurate or something, perforate.
Something.
That's what my poop test came back as.
Is that what they were testing for? Like your ability to detox?
Why? No, they weren't testing it on that specifically. It was kind of a all-around test, and that's what the test came back as.
Interesting.
Because, you know, I was like, well, do I have a parasite? You know, what's going on?
What's in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like for me, I don't want to take wormwood and black walnut and these things if I don't need to.
Yeah.
Like, why would I run that through my system?
No.
It's
Jack your shit up for what?
Yeah.
Nothing?
Yeah. So
Absolutely not.
So I wouldn't do that.
My
That for
goodness.
you know me, I would go get a test though.
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure that's what you have to
Mike's like, I'd mail my poop in. I don't care.
Yeah.
Sure. Poop all the time.
Yeah, sure. I'll do that.
So you moved from New York
Yeah.
to Medford.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. How's that change?
It's been really interesting. Like it wasn't something I planned on doing. It's
Yeah,
just
why'd you move?
because of Holly.
I know.
At the time, so I was living in this apartment in Brooklyn, and it was a really nice, cute parlor apartment in a brownstone in a nice neighborhood. And that's when I met Holly, and she came out to see me. And then, I don't know, a few months or a year later, they were like, yeah, hey, we need that apartment back. And I was like, okay, well, I have all my money wrapped up in a business, and I've also been paying this, this person like under the table, and like, so I don't even have a rent history now. So where am I going to live? So I ended up living in a really rough transition neighborhood where, I'd leave all my money at work because I didn't want to have any money on me. And
Oh my God.
someone tried to break in my house in the first month twice, tried to smash in the window while I was like in bed. So I was like, okay, Holly was going to move to New York to be with me.
Absolutely not.
And I was like, we're not doing this. Look, we have a horse, cat and dog, house plants, like 1 million of them,
Yeah.
garden, chickens. I was like, there's just, no,
You're like, I'll come to you.
Yeah. And one time I was picking up some kids for her friend, and I was just watching all the kids getting picked up and interacting together. Because whenever I'd come here, I was always just sort of working on the computer. But, obviously I wasn't working when I was visiting Holly. And I was watching the parents with the kids, and I was like, And I already raised one child in New York, and I was
Yeah.
like, and I was raised in New York, and I was like, this is where I would want to raise my kids.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to move here because long distance relationships, someone's got to move.
Yeah.
So turned out to be me. All of it was the worst timing in the world. I mean, I just opened a business. I met Holly.
Yeah.
And then a year later I was moving, but I made it all work. And I used to basically, talk about the changing landscape of business. So my previous business, it was really easy because you were really good at what you did. You had a good reputation. The clients loved you. And then once every 6 months, you and the staff all like got together, took a picture, and you put it in the magazine.
Done.
Time Out New York Naturally, like whatever it is. And you just pay them and that's it.
Yeah.
And then websites came in and, okay, well, you could build a website. That's fine. But like a lot of people were still looking at magazines and stuff like that. And then I sold that business. I had a non-compete for 3 years. We were waiting for it to expire. And in that time, social media became king of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have second jobs. Everyone has second jobs, which is really difficult. And what I ended up happening, I was like, God, how am I going to explain this to the investors? I'm moving to New York after we started this. Everything aligned. A great therapist came to work with me and she became a business partner. And I would come back to Oregon and I would go do intensives in New York, but I would go see I would sleep on the treatment table and I would see about 10 clients a day. And then at the end of the day, we would do meetings and podcasts and I was just doing social media through the whole thing. And then I'd go back to Oregon and I'd sit at the computer and I would just do, edit all the podcasts, do all the things.
Oh my God.
So it all kind of worked out for a little while. And then in 2020, the world changed and, everything changed for me. And now I'm not in New York at all anymore. And I don't own that business anymore. And now I'm out here. So it's been a bumpy ride, but I mean, I'm so grateful to be here, but
Yeah.
it's also a lot of loss.
Yeah.
I lost everything in New York. I lost all the time, the 5 years of 16-hour days and all the things, but I have a family and I live in Southern Oregon.
The cutest babies.
Oh, thank you.
They're so stinking cute. But yeah, that's a kick in the pants to have to but to build a business like that
Start over.
and then have this life-changing situation. Like, what am I going to do? Keep this that I built for this long or go have a family?
Yeah.
Is
And
it easier to start a business in New York than it is here? Because is it saturated in New York? Are there more of what you were doing or were you...
There was more. There's more of what we do. I mean, it's still a very niche type of thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're the only one here, right?
almost.
There's
Yeah,
maybe one more, but nobody cares about that.
yeah. There's a couple of spots. There's a place up in Grants Pass. There's a place also in Ashland that does them. But basically, we don't really have any competition here. We had competition there, but there's also 12 million people in New York, so it's
Yeah.
And I was the loudest mouth about nutritional detox
There you
work
go.
out there.
Yeah.
So with all the social media and the podcast and the daily stories and the Q&As and all this time that
Yeah.
I used to love that because I was like, look at this great opportunity, and the community would come together and it was fresh and it was new and we would create and I would do stuff all day. And then once it became an obligation,
Yeah. Now we're all tired and we hate it.
I don't enjoy this anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not on social media as much as you used to be.
Yeah.
I was on daily. I would easily be doing an hour of content a day, and then I would do the podcast. And, at the time it was fun because it was new
Yeah.
and everybody
And you were getting the views because you were up on it. You were saturating it. And now it's everybody's saturating it. And you're like, okay, no one's even going to see this shit.
Yeah. It happens now with my podcast. I can't be consistent with it.
Yeah.
First podcast episodes, hundreds of thousands of views and downloads on the first ones I did. Now, I don't know if you go on YouTube and you look at it, it's probably 500, 600 people, which I'm grateful for and I love, and I'll always make content for that.
Absolutely.
But it's a different. It's what's
Do
that?
we only get 12?
Well, I've also been doing mine since 2014. So
Yeah. See, you can't compare. We preach that, can't compare. But still, 13 would be nice.
but yeah, that world changed and it became everything. So to build a business in New York was really challenging because we hundreds of thousands of dollars, about $500,000 in investment, because we basically did a place like this with 3 treatment rooms.
Mm-hmm.
So we did colonics, we did cryotherapy.
Yeah.
It was Midtown Manhattan, right near Times Square and Macy's. So it was expensive real estate.
Amazing.
Huge.
It's about $30,000 to $35,000 a month just to break even.
Jesus.
Yeah, and we had full staff because you need people doing cryos, saunas. I have a full team. We had about 10 colonic therapists working there.
But you also got to charge more there.
Yes.
Your cryo sessions were what, $75 a session?
Well, what happened with cryo is the market crashed. When we started, they were there was one game in town, and I went and I got my first cryo session. And I called my business partner. And I was like, "We have to do this. This feels so good." I was like, "All my inflammation dropped. People are going to be so psyched on this." He's like, "Well, how much is it?" I was like, "Well, it's 90 a session, and people do packages for like 75 a session." And then we finally got rolling about 6 months later, and we invested everything. We built it out. We went through all the stuff with the nitrogen gas and the oxygen sensors and the fire department, and we're all done.
Fire department.
And then we start to see Groupon ads where people are running $25 cryo specials. And I'm like, oh, so now we can't even recoup the thing. And we did some Groupon, but that never worked.
And it's not the clientele you want from Groupon.
No, it's not.
No, they're like a one and done. Thanks for my cheap session. See you never.
Yeah.
No way.
So, I mean, I think we probably broke even on the cryo part of it, but with that kind of overhead, it was just crazy. So it was challenging. And then the idea was I was going to do everything, which I was like, yes, I can do everything. Cause I didn't have young children anymore at the time, right? My older son had grown up, and I was like, yeah, I could do everything. Cause I'm just going to live here, and I'm going to win in the first few years. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't even in a relationship when we started and we did it. And I was like, I'm going to do everything. But then the social media game came in. So now it was like, wait a second. Now I'm basically working 3 jobs. I'm working as a therapist. I'm managing the studio. And now I'm a storyteller online all the time, 24 hours a day, doing stories, keeping attention. And I couldn't get my therapists on board.
It's hard to get people on board with social media.
Yeah.
There's a company in New York called Rumble Boxing, and they teach boxing classes, and they're really popular. And I think they play good music, and everybody looks great. There's all these actors and athletes that teach, and like everyone's fit. And they would come in for cryo sessions. And when I started connecting with them on social and tagging them, I noticed that like all the Rumble instructors are their own personalities online, and they all rep the business, and they have this beautiful thing. And some of them today, like I still follow them on social, and they're still part of Rumble, and it's like been 7 years later, and they are like these star teachers, and they attract people because they're fantastic. They're influencers in the thing. And I was trying to get my therapist. I was like, you guys are so knowledgeable, and you're such characters. Some of them are so funny and weird. And I was like, you'd do great. And I couldn't get them. I used to write the copy too. I'd be like, you're gonna message this person, and you're gonna say, hey, blah blah blah, I'd love to offer you a session. And yeah, it was so tough to do.
I think that's something that is like always missing with business owners and social media. Nobody cares about your business.
Right.
People care about people. They want to support people. They want to know who you are. They want to know what gets you up in the morning, what you're doing all day. They don't care that you do colonic therapy. They don't care about that. But they care about you and your knowledge and what you bring to the table, your quirks, like all of that stuff. And if you're not showing that, nobody cares that you do colonics for whatever. But they get to know you when you express yourself. They trust you. And that's the whole point of a business. You want to get trust from people. But if you're not putting yourself out there and getting to know people, they're not going to trust you. So
yeah, that's why I stopped acting like a brand a long time ago. I made that mistake in the early days because I was mimicking, like, how do we behave in this social environment? What do we do here?
A neutral brand.
Yeah.
No, be weird.
Yeah. I was like, no, this is why.
Yeah.
This is why people are interested in what I do. They're interested in me and my life. And we even had a show at one point I took it down, but it was on YouTube, where we were doing like this sort of daily family vlog, because people were so into like, if people listen to old podcast episodes, they'll hear me talk about it. But people were more interested in what we were doing than what I was talking about half of the time.
People are nosy.
My pets, my whatever, like they wanted to know that.
What's your cat's name? Cool. How's Kitty doing today? They don't care what you're doing. They don't care you're going to work.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I want to, a little drama happens and somebody like, whoa, what's going on? Wait.
Literally. Nobody cares about your business.
You have to have thick skin though, because like you put your opinion out on politics.
Love that for me.
And I love that for you. I do. And you put your opinion out on health, and you go against a lot of like the trendy things.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that brings you a lot of weird comments. I mean, your wife, same thing. She puts stuff that shouldn't be controversial, but somehow it is.
Yeah.
And you guys have thick skin. Sometimes I'm like, I steer away from I think I have thick skin until I don't.
Yeah. People can be rough online. I mean, my wife has caught a bunch of stuff because of, my wife's a breastfeeding specialist, and a lot of
that should not be controversial.
No, it should not.
Oops could trigger some people so much.
Oh, so much. And they trigger a lot of the older women from the boomer generation, and they'll be like, like, this is sick. Get that kid off your boob. And I'm like, she's like not even 2 years old yet. Like, what are we talking about? Like,
She's eating.
And yeah, and I get a lot of, when I talk about this is one product that I rep a lot online because it's so powerful and I really believe in it.
Is that
The red stuff.
The red stuff.
Yeah.
It's called astaxanthin. Yeah. So
We know.
and there's a very
Yeah.
particular way that it's made that I rep this one company. And when I talk about it, because the owner of the company healed himself of cancer that had no treatment.
Yeah.
And when I talk about this, people come at me hard. Like someone came at me the other day, like, you're a snake oil salesman. You should be ashamed of yourself preying on vulnerable people. And I'm like, first of all, I'm not telling people, I'm not telling people like, that are dying that they should be taking this or it's the only hope or something like that. I'm just saying that there's plenty of, data that shows that this could be really helpful.
But you're going against normal, like doctor things, pharmaceuticals, and people can't shut that off. They're like, it's like a robot glitching. They're like, wait, no, that's not part of the healthcare world. The doctor didn't say that was good for you. Like, if I don't take what the doctor says, like, you're crazy. You're going to make me sick. Like, okay, well, let's just take a seat for a second. Try this red stuff.
It's good for so many reasons. But yeah, Sam had a really advanced cancer. He healed himself. And it's worked for a lot of people. Not every person, but it's worked for a lot of people. So, and I feel it immediately in regards to inflammation, especially if I had like a stressful day or whatever. And like I take that stuff and I've seen it work really well with clients with intestinal inflammation. So I talk about it and a lot of people are grateful and they're like, thank you for telling me about this. But then there's people that come at me hard.
What if it does nothing? If it does nothing, then okay, move on. But if it like does even a pinch of nearing curing cancer, that could help so many of us. Yeah. Like, come on.
And it's never hurt anybody. So it's not like anyone's going to get hurt.
There's no side effects like a vaccine.
But you're okay putting finger.
Yeah, exactly. Crazy, but you're going to go get your 17th booster. But who am I? Bring that energy to your primary care physician for that booster, okay?
Shit. Are people still getting those?
I heard a COVID thing on the radio on my way here. If you're experiencing COVID-19 symptoms during the summertime, talk to your doctor about this vaccine. I'm like, it's the freaking summer. Knock it off.
I do have a friend, and I love her with all my heart because I see her every week, and her and I do not jive on politics, but I can still talk to her and she can still talk to me in a very non-confrontational way. It's one of my favorite people to talk to because she is, far left, I'm right, whatever. And I love it because, she listens to me and I listen to her and I validate her and I'm like, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And you have a good heart in this and this is where we don't jive, right?
You're just wrong. That's all.
But even her, she's like gone all she's gotten all of her booster shots. And even right now, she's like, I'm going to Iceland. And she's like, she asked me, she was like, do you think I should get my booster shot? I'm like, are you asking me because I'm going to tell you no? Because that's what you want to hear. And she's like, I just don't think I should. And I'm like, ooh.
Well, that's interesting. She asked you that because, like, I would never ask anybody to tell me what to eat or how to live or if I should do a colonic or a sauna or ice bath. I would never do that. But unless I wanted someone to tell me, don't do it.
Right. Because she knew what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Maybe she just needed that validation from you. Yeah. They're like,
obviously.
It's okay. You don't have to get it.
We don't see eye to eye on a lot of things. And so it was interesting that she just wanted validation.
Yeah.
Well, the conversation's changing in the mainstream a little bit. So it's possible that people are hearing things now and going,
Their question.
Yeah, maybe that wasn't.
Could be all the heart studies that are coming out.
Could be somebody. I don't know if they did it on purpose or not, but Instagram threads, there was a thing that said, honest question. How many of the unvaxxed are really regretting now that they didn't get vaxxed? And of course the comment section exploded, and I was like, did they put this here for engagement?
Yeah,
I was like, I don't know.
So good at that.
But I don't even know if it was a real question, but somebody was like, after all, and they were arguing about it, like after all the data about how good it was and how people, saved so many lives. And I was like, this is probably just an inflammatory post. This is probably like a Russian bot or something like that.
Yeah. How could you genuinely regret that?
I feel everyone is I'm like, these are decisions you have to make for yourself with the knowledge that you have. And I could regret one day not giving my child polio vaccine and one of my children might get polio. Absolutely. And that is the regret that I have to be comfortable sitting here being like, I'm not giving my child the Hep B shot and the polio and whatever. I gave them some vaccines, but not all of them. And I have to now, can I live with that if my child dies because I didn't do this, right? Yeah. And so everyone has to make their own decision. And
it's never that deep of a thought to get the vaccines, though. I don't feel
Because
like
I think they would rather blame it on the doctor who
Right.
gave it to them. If
Yeah.
that
It's never
they
like,
don't want to make
should I
their
do
own
this to my
decision.
child?
Correct.
or no, like sign them up, give them all 17.
It's easier to blame someone else than to blame yourself.
Here.
And also the culture, there's shaming in it as
There
well.
is.
So, it's easier to say, well, I did all the things that were recommended. I did something similar. I did I did my own vaccine schedule for my kids.
Yeah.
My first son, obviously, I was very young,
got
but
'em all.
he got them all. I got them
Same.
all,
Yeah.
But
bro.
Sorry about that.
yes,
But they
But-
were different back then.
He's fine. We're
The
fine.
schedule was way different back then.
There's
you
probably
guys,
less.
he was born in 91, so it was
Yeah,
probably
same.
less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't get there's a chicken. When I had kids, I was like, there's a chicken pox vaccine? I'm like,
No.
Yeah, I never had that.
yes.
You just get them and move on with your life.
I'm like, I exposed my kids to chicken pox.
Everybody get together.
Yeah, there's one now, I guess.
Okay.
But
That's good. Well, that's
the challenge with the whole vaccine conversation is that it's always based in fear.
Mm-hmm.
There's no empowerment in it. It's
Nope.
either I don't want my child to die from this disease that they can get, or I don't want my child to be vaccine injured, but it's a fear that you're going to hurt this most precious thing to you. So
Yeah.
it's not a clean decision. It's not like you have this vision and you're like, this is what I'm doing, right or wrong. Like I feel this in my, it's like there's fear in it. So
Yeah.
it creates, it's very challenging.
Yeah.
And then the culture, of course, it could shame you either way,
Oh, for
depending on who
sure.
you're talking to. Yeah.
One of my kids got kicked out of school for a little bit because he wasn't caught up on his vaccines. I think he was in like 2nd or 3rd grade. And they're like, if you don't
I was
vaccinate
gonna say,
him.
they don't do that now.
No, they do. It was literally like 2 years ago.
Really?
Yes.
I
They're
thought
like,
you just had to sign a waiver that you
no,
are
you have to
aware of.
take a class. You have to do like all kinds of stuff. So they're like, if you don't vaccinate him and get all these, he can't come back to school. I'm like, don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah.
Fine, I don't give two shits. And then they're like, you have to get this documentation. You have to take this health class and all this stuff. The health class was this video. And it was like, if you don't get them this vaccine, they will get this and die. You know that
I've
the
seen
scene from Mean Girls?
I've
Like,
had to
if you
sign
don't
off
do
on
this,
so
they're going to
many
get pregnant and die. It was like that with every vaccine. And I was like, yes, I accept. Yes, I accept. But it was like tailored to make you feel like you're going to essentially kill your kid if you don't get them vaccinated. And you have to accept that responsibility. I'm like, I accept. And then print it off for all my kids, sign it, send it to the school. And I'm like, so he can come back now? And they're like, yep. I'm like, that's crazy because he's
still not vaccinated.
He's not vaccinated. He's not more of a threat or less of a threat now, but he couldn't come back because he wasn't vaccinated and potentially a threat to other kids. But now with this paper, he's not a threat anymore.
Yeah.
Got it.
I wonder if it's some type of liability for them, or if it's just some pressure from industry or the government to be like, look, when people don't want to vaccinate their kids, run them through this protocol
Literally.
to try to convert more people through.
I mean, that's a public school system. Like, talk about a rabbit hole. It's all connected. They do shots at school. They were doing flu shots, like handing out flu shots. You had to like sign something that said, no, I don't want my kid to get a flu shot while they're at school. Or no, I don't want my kid to get fluoride cleaning at school.
Or working.
They do dentistry at school?
They do like
They
fluoride
do.
stuff. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
They'll bring someone in
Yeah.
and do it at the school.
Yep.
And every time I go to my dentist and they're like, oh, so you don't do fluoride? I'm like,
Do you want the fluoride today? Not today, not ever. No, thank you. Yeah.
I didn't know
crazy?
that. They're doing flu shot. It's like a pharmacy and
Literally,
and
because it's all connected.
I have a friend who's a
Yep.
hygienist who does go to the schools
Mm-hmm. The indoctrination starts so young.
just in case your kids can't, like the family can't afford
Mhm.
to send the kids to a dentist.
Yeah.
Then they make sure to
Get your kid that fluoride.
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
So food for thought. Don't send your kids to public school.
yeah, we're homeschooling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, you can still send them to public school. Just continue to sign no on literally everything.
It's a bummer. I'm doing I'm going through a surrogacy thing. I guess I haven't mentioned that though. It's on social media. So, but in the process, because it's very, it's IVF, so it's very like, they took the egg and this. I mean, it's all very in a petri dish, right? So nothing natural about it. So yeah, it's been taking much longer. I know the parents. It's going to be family, and we want to do it the way we want it. We're doing it all natural as we possibly can. I'm not doing progesterone or estrogen. My body's ready to go. They wanted to put me on birth control.
Absolutely not.
Like, I've had the same. They're like, no. But on my paperwork, I didn't know this because I've had a midwife, but I also had to have an OB because I had a VBAC at home, and
Boo.
Anyways, on my paperwork, it says I'm a non-compliant patient.
Yes.
Yeah, did not know that until obviously all my paperwork got sent.
It's like highlighted at the very top,
Yeah.
bold letters.
I'm
non-compliant.
A non-compliant patient because I refused the Tdap vaccine and the flu vaccine, and
You didn't take their birth control.
yeah. Isn't that crazy? And so they're like, hey, we want you to know, since you're a non-compliant patient, like you have to be compliant through this whole process. I know the parents.
You're flagged in their system.
I am.
People are going to do
didn't
home
even
visits
know
on you.
it.
Wow. Oh, you asked me if I was vegan.
Yeah. Well, the thing is I've seen a lot of vegans and they don't look as healthy as you do. And I think you fine-tuned it.
Well, interestingly, so yes, I've been eating a vegan diet for 31 years now. I'm blood type O. So according to the blood type diet,
I'm O negative.
yeah, I'm not supposed to be eating vegan, but I'm thriving doing it.
Yeah.
That's funny you said that. I have a friend who was like, I didn't know that was a thing. Oh, actually, I sent him to you, Alan.
Okay, right.
Yeah. And I asked him, I was like, that's a great question for Mike. He's like, because he was trying to eat to his blood type.
Yeah.
And I didn't know
That's a thing. Yeah. Eating according to your blood type. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't subscribe to that myself. Obviously, I'm blood type O. I'm vegan. I'm the opposite of what they suggest.
Yeah.
But I do think humans are omnivores. I think that plant-based diets are possible because we get all of our food from farming these days.
Mm-hmm.
Even people that eat meat and dairy, like they get all their food from farming. Like we're not living indigenous, natural lives anymore, right? But interestingly, because I do think that the human body, the species-specific diet is plant-based with supplemental animal protein. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's all the meat and dairy and all the things that we eat and all the refined grains and all the stuff that our cultures are built on. Mm-hmm. But I actually give very little thought to how I eat. In my circles, they call it the cleansing life. There's certain people, there's pockets of people, LA, New York, like they get involved in the... some people call it biohacking. We don't call it that, but it's like they get involved in the fasting, the colonics, the clean eating. They get through the detoxes. And once we have a really clean vessel to the best of our ability, because nobody gets perfectly clean or anything like that with all the environmental pollution and all that. But once we get in a really clean space, we're really just vibing off of our body's own energy. Mm-hmm. So I don't eat a lot of food. I eat a diet that would be considered absolutely nutritionally void in, standard, standard nutrition practices. Mm-hmm. But we create a demand for nutrition through self-pollution. Mm-hmm. So through creating a lot of acidity in our system, we burn up a lot of minerals, right? Through accumulating a lot of toxicity in our body, because we go into that detox state. What's like, you understand the hair of the dog concept? People that drink like the Bloody Mary, or they have a beer in the morning mm-hmm. because it will stop a hangover.
Yeah.
That's because the body doesn't accommodate and release waste at the same time.
Oh my God.
Right. So the average person wakes up, they need the heavy breakfast, the bacon and eggs, the whatever, they need the coffee, they need the heavy thing, or they can't get their head together. They got goop in the eyes. They feel all gross when they wake up. That whole groggy thing mm-hmm. is from basically fasting for the first time, because most people eat all day long, mm-hmm. and it's from eating a diet of unnatural foods and pollution, eating it usually late into the night, mm-hmm. going to sleep in the sleep cycle, never fully detoxing and clearing it, and waking up in a half state of detox, feeling gross. Then they eat, a McMuffin or whatever people eat, and all of a sudden they feel better. Once you get out of that paradigm mm-hmm. and you get up and you don't need anything, because you're free and you're clear. And if you hydrate yourself, and once you start getting things flowing, and if you use the bathroom in the morning, all of a sudden you're like, let's go. Yeah. And you can just go hours throughout the day on very little food. And then you need something. And the heavier the food that we put in, this is for people that are well seasoned into this, the heavier the food we put in, the more of a sort of energetic commitment it is. So that's mm-hmm. why you see a lot of people walking around with the yoga mats and green juices and living on much lighter things. Mm-hmm.
And that's probably easier on your system too. Your system doesn't have to work as hard.
Yeah, it's simpler. It absorbs nutrients better, and it doesn't create waste. So when your diet's not creating waste, so like if someone's eating, like pepperoni pizza and an ice cream sundae for dinner,
so
like
good.
what your body has to work through that night to clear that out of the system, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of pollution in that. Mm-hmm. When someone's eating like salads and whatever, like salads and sweet potatoes and avocado salads and quinoa, or like whatever it is that they eat, that's a natural food. Your body doesn't need to recover from that. Yeah. Your body just digests it. It takes the nutrition. It lets it go.
Energy too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Put too much
food. We ate pizza and ice cream. Yeah.
So I hope I was clear on that, but I do it. I eat a very clean whole foods diet. I pay attention to elimination. I've gotten my body to a place where I'm not responding to the that hair of the dog concept where my body needs something to quell the detox process anymore. Because on the surface, my body's cleansed. Another thing is a lot of vegans eat garbage diets.
Yeah.
They eat garbage, or they eat fantasy diets. You'll see a lot of fruitarians and stuff like that's not a real diet, and they could be really cleansing, and people detox hard and they feel good for a couple of years, and then they'll have all sorts of issues with their hormones and bone density and muscle strength and things like that.
Yeah, I'm talking about like, oh, they're eating like vegan donuts and vegan.
And that's the process. You have the fantasy vegans eating these puritanical fruit diets, and they don't last too long. And then you have the junk food vegans that are the same. It's the same as standard American.
Those carbs and all of that stuff, and they just like formulate it and make these cocktails to make it vegan, but like not. It's not the whole foods. Yeah.
Yeah, and God forbid they're gluten free. I mean, now you have these sticky, starchy glue breads that are trying to mimic bread with like a Beyond Burger, and it's like
processed
trash.
They all came from a factory. The whole concept of being vegan is not being played out properly here, because you're still getting all of that shit from a factory that's just made up and injected with random shit to make it like this other stuff that you don't want to have. What's the point?
I know. A lot of the gluten-free stuff, if you go and look at all the ingredients, it's just crap ingredients, and so many ingredients.
And so bad for you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'd rather just
eat a slice of bread.
go eat the slice of bread.
Right. So surprisingly, I don't eat any breads, any pastry products, any flour products, any muffins, pancakes, cookies, pizzas. I don't even eat quinoa, whole grains. I don't eat beans. I don't,
You'd starve at my house.
It's mostly.
Quinoa makes me feel terrible.
Me too.
Does it
makes
really?
me like bloated and yucky.
Yeah. I can't do anything with quinoa.
So it's mostly fruit and vegetables, and then when I need
So anyways.
What?
So anyways, I love quinoa.
Well, no, I don't eat quinoa either, but I don't know why that would make you feel terrible though. It's a pretty clean grain, but quinoa though, if you don't wash it there's little
And maybe that's it.
there's little things.
We're not washing it.
There's something called saffronins on it, and they're little protective
Just like rice too,
We're
right?
eating
You're
dirty
supposed to wash
quinoa.
rice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the rice you get the excess starch off, so it keeps it fluffy when you're making it. But the quinoa actually has something as a bitter compound that can make you not feel well.
Oh,
Interesting.
so you just need to wash your quinoa.
Yeah, you need to give it
Lazies.
give it a good quick rinse, and you might be good.
Tasty. It's not good.
No, I don't like the taste. I don't like texture. It's just
I'm just gonna not.
it makes me feel yucky. All right. Good stuff.
Yeah, so I don't put a lot of thought into my diet, honestly.
Must
Like
be nice.
a lot of people, like you hear Joe Rogan talk about this, and he's like, "Oh, vegan diets are fine, but you really got to dial it, and you really got to like be very careful." And I'm like, "You actually don't. You just need to eat a whole foods diet."
Well.
And, yeah, if you eat a whole foods diet and you listen to your body and you keep your system clean, like you don't. I mean, I've been doing it 31 years, and it's
You have glowing skin.
still waiting to die.
Healthy as an ox.
Every time I see you, glowing skin.
Yeah.
Another thing when we see people doing vegan diets online, we're watching their detox process and they're misunderstanding it. And it's oftentimes you'll see it'll be some type of like biohacking people or like guys that are into holistic health, and they are now losing muscle and they think their testosterone's tanking. They don't understand what detox is. I went down to about 135 pounds when I first started detoxing.
Oh my God.
Because your body will break itself down, get rid of everything it built on the McDonald's and the pizza and all the junk that we've put in our system since childhood, and then it'll rebuild itself. But that's a process, and it could take a couple of years. Most people don't get that. And they're just like, "Oh my God, I lost my muscle thing. I don't look good. My face looks really sunken." And they think that their diet, they think that what they're experiencing is the result of the diet, and they don't understand it's a process.
So just trust the process. Push through.
If they're doing it right, and if they're doing work that's helping with elimination, if they're eliminating well and they're eating clean and they're eating whole foods, then yes, trust that process of detox. That was what my teacher, Dr. Bishop, he's 96 years old now. He's the oldest living raw vegan in the Western world. He's doing amazingly well. And early, 30 years ago, he was like, "Michael, look," he goes, "what you're doing right now is a process." He's like, "You got to see yourself through on the other side." I was like, okay. So when I lost those 40 pounds or 60 pounds in 3 to 4 months, and I had the fevers and the body aches and the pimples, I was like, okay, I'll do it. And then I came out on the other side and I was like, oh, wow. I was like, it really was a process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have given up.
That's great that you trusted it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could have just given it up and been like, this guy's crazy.
This guy's crazy. I feel like shit.
Well, luckily I had no social media back then. So I had people that had done it and they were like, no, this is the thing.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's how I got into colonics.
Amazing.
When are you getting your next colonic milk?
I don't know. I need to.
I know, me too. Literally for probably the past 6 months.
I can literally feel it.
Well, because I'm obviously going to get pregnant soon. And so I've been trying to do like all the things
Yeah.
before because
That would be
you
great.
get colonics when you're pregnant? No.
There's been a recent change. You used to be able to get colonics in the
My
not in the first trimester. But
That's when you're most constipated. It's during that first trimester.
I know.
Come on, man.
It's more of an insurance liability thing that they just don't want us working on anybody during that time. But everything's changed now, and now we don't see anybody during pregnancy, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. Get your butt in there before you get a baby in there.
Honestly, because I had seen you right after I had a baby, and my bladder, it was really hard to do that first one because it was hard to control my bladder. Because I had to like strengthen it back up. So yeah. Anyways,
So you better do it before
I
you
know.
get pregnant.
I have a month.
Yeah.
Oh, so that you're that close, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I literally thought, I was like, my life is I'm live or die New York. Like I'm going to be here my entire life. I'm going to do my business here.
Yeah.
This is going to be, my whole family lived there. You know, I was like, this is what it's going to be. And then, life just shifted.
Crazy.
And I put down these deep roots and signed a long lease and did a whole thing. And then that was it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I want to see a video from you from like 3 years ago because I met you like 3 years ago till now because I feel like you're either I've just gotten used to your accent or your accent has less.
My New York accent has lessened.
Uh-oh. Don't tell him that. He's going to go back.
I used to work on it because there's videos I have inside my academy. I have an online academy, and I'll put there's this whole section I call the archives, and it's all like the old DVDs we used to do back in the
DVD
early
Oh.
yeah. So I put those on there, and I listen to myself, and I'm like, "Whoa, man!" Or like if I get off the phone with my mom, Holly's like, "Well, your accent is turned up," and I'm like, But listening to myself on video and on YouTube and stuff, and I would go, "Oh, I got to work on that."
Aww.
No, I think for real. I think when I first met you, it came through super thick. And then now I don't feel like it's as thick.
Great. He's moving again. Way to go, Janelle.
Well, I have no one to practice with, so.
Aww.
This is the end of this podcast.
I know.
But I guess we're doing another.
Yeah, we should probably do it again on the table.
Table.
Let's do that. Let's do a podcast on the treatment table. I'm up for it.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Next month. Let's put it in the book.
Next month. So scared. Yeah, okay.
Actually, it'd be this month because it's July.
Oh, God. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds great. Well, thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah, what do I say? Looking forward to it. Like, it's just such I don't know what to say.
Well, okay, so we never know how to wrap these up, which is why we continue to go on for like 3 hours. And we're like, oh, people are going to not listen to this at all. But we just can't. As soon as we get almost done, we're like
bring up another topic.
It's like we get uncomfortable. We get awkward. We're like, anyway, so, oh. All right. Well, see you next time on the Dirty Business Podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.